Hello, and welcome to the Come to Your Senses podcast. I'm your host, embodiment-based coach, Mary Lofgren. Here, we explore how to live bravely and beautifully through a lifestyle of embodiment. You'll hear gems to empower you around mindset, mindfulness, somatic psychology, and neuroscience, as well as beauty, food, style, and the art of slow living to meet your soul through the senses. I am so happy that you're here. Let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today is a continuation of last week's episode, which was all about essential beauty habits. So last week we talked quite a bit about mindset. I could edit that out, but we're going to keep that in. Mindset, it's a new word, fancy new terminology. Mindset shifts that you can make to bring more beauty into your life and into your body, as well as a few more practical tips around products that you can use and techniques that you can utilize to enhance and reveal your beauty. And today we're going to do basically the same thing with a little bit more of an emphasis on the practical, but still a few mindset shifts thrown in there to help you relate to beauty in a way that feels delicious and sensual and empowering and useful. There's a lot of fluff out there in the world when it comes to our beauty rituals, and the things that I am going to share with you today, I hope, will give you access to a way of relating to beauty and the practical tools that you use around beauty that help you feel like you're not a victim to some product company's marketing ploys, but instead there is a rightness and a groundedness to your own intuitiveness around beauty. That said, there are about 10 must-have desert island beauty products that I recommend. And if you're curious about what those are, they can be found in my Worship Worthy Beauty Guide, which you can find by going to schoolofsensualliving.com/beauty. There will be a link to this in the show notes. And before we dive into our gems, I'd love to share a gem with you from our community of Coming to Our Senses in a review. So this review comes from AKA Francie, and it says, "The best kind of soul candy. Oh, Mary, you've done it. You've created a podcast I actually want to listen to. What an honor. Your voice is like soul candy, and your words make my whole body vibrate with how they resonate. Thank you for making me feel sane and seen." Francie, thank you so much for your generosity and the sensuality that you poured into this review. You all have no idea how impactful it is to hear your reviews and your feedback and your suggestions, which you can always send to us by sending an email to hello@schoolofsensualliving.com. Leaving a review not only gives the solitary nature of recording podcasts and having it go out to hundreds, thousands of ears and not really knowing who it's reaching or how it's reaching you. It means so much to me to hear your words. And it also helps others find the podcast. So if you would like to hear your name read on the air and in a review, please head to iTunes. I would love to hear from you. And if leaving a review feels complicated or you're unsure about it, there is a 1-minute video on how to do it at schoolofsensualliving.com/review. Essential Beauty Habits, Part 2. So last week, in our previous episode, we talked about the difference between a practice and a habit, and that a habit is just an embodied practice. It's where the practice has become such a part of your life. A new neural pathway has been formed where that becomes your resting state. And with all of my clients, my coaching clients, my retreat clients, you, my podcast listeners, that is one of my greatest hopes, is for you to have a relationship with beauty where it is a joyful and relaxing and intoxicatingly nourishing aspect of your life, not just from what you do, but from how you think and how you feel and how you weave beauty into your life on the inner and on the outer. And we're going to start with the outer. And our first gem is all about a next level skincare practice beyond the basics, and that is masking. So I celebrate and I'm grateful that I often get compliments on my skin. And there are a lot of, I don't know if secrets is the right word, but things that I do to take care of my skin. And I am a licensed esthetician, so it's very much a part of how I live my life. It's one of my values. And one of the things that instantly results in guaranteed comments on my skin is masking. So I use a vitamin mask, a hydrating reparative mask, because my skin tends to be more towards the sensitive, drier side. And you can find that mask in the beauty guide that I mentioned at the start of the episode. And masking, so what is masking, right? Masks are usually products that have a viscous quality. They have nutrients, antioxidants, soothing herbs. There are hydrating masks that usually have a base of something like aloe or hyaluronic acid. There are nutritive masks, what some might call, quote, anti-aging masks, what I would call reparative. And those usually contain antioxidants like grapeseed and green tea and things that will hydrate and also repair sun damage and free radical damage. And then there are cleansing and antibacterial masks for oilier skins, more breakout-prone skins. You might find a base of something like kaolin clay, which is a gentle clay, and these are designed to draw impurities out of the skin, help absorb oil, and help refine the texture of the skin. If you're more prone to inflammatory breakouts like papules and pustules, you might find a gel mask that has antibacterial ingredients like salicylic acid or tea tree. And you can even make your own mask. You know, these ingredients that I've just listed are kind of raw ingredients. Some of these you can make, although for the most impactful result, I find using a professional skincare product is the bee's knees. And so with masking, you know, this is really what I mean when I say next level skincare, is that it takes us beyond the basics of cleansing, toning, moisturizing. And how I like to imagine it is if you exercise on a regular basis, you eat nourishing foods, masking is kind of like taking yourself to a spa resort for a weekend for your skin. And so I mask after I exfoliate. I cleanse, I exfoliate. The exfoliation helps clear debris from the surface layer of the skin so that the ingredients of the mask can penetrate more deeply into the skin. You can make masking a ritual. One of the things that I love to do is put on a mask after a shower and lay down and take cool cotton pads soaked in water. So you can just use cold water, you can pop them in the fridge. I don't recommend putting them in the freezer because they'll freeze, but pop them in the fridge for a few minutes while you're in the shower and then lay down with them pressed into your eyelids. And it can be such a beautiful, delicious, depuffing, restful treatment. And I notice that not only do my eyes look more awake after this ritual, but they also feel more awake because the cool temperature and the relaxation has reduced some of the tension and some of the puffiness around the eyes. So that's how you can make masking a ritual. You can also smooth on your mask after the shower and go make your breakfast. You don't have to make it a ritual. And then you would just follow that with your toner, if you're using a toner, which helps seal moisture and hydration into the skin, followed by your facial oil or your facial moisturizer. So, masking. Can't say enough about it. Next gem is hydration itself. So that was a gem, masking was a gem that was more the outside in. This gem is going to be more from the inside out. And what we're talking about here is the amount of water that you drink. So there isn't a lot of research that proves that a high or adequate water intake has a noticeable effect on the skin. I don't think that's because that's not true. I think it's because it's under-researched and under-revealed, because it doesn't behoove product companies or the pharmaceutical industry to know that we have the tools for beautiful skin at our disposal from the earth. But, this isn't a podcast about the ravages of capitalism. This is about beauty. And so, although learning about capitalism and oppressive systems, I believe, can help unlock our real and true relationship to beauty, but I digress. So, water and hydration certainly has an impact on the level of hydration in your skin, but water first goes to your internal organs, and the surface of the skin is really the last place to receive it. And so for me, drinking water is less about what it does for the surface of my skin and more about what it does for my digestion and for my mental clarity. A hydrated brain and gut are happy brain and gut. And not only that, but the detoxification of water helps to draw puffiness and fluid retention out of the face, and also helps to improve the circulation of your lymphatic system. Last week, we talked about how the lymphatic system is kind of like your blood's detoxification system, and how it doesn't have a pump in the same way that your circulatory system does, which uses your heartbeat to circulate blood. It relies on gentle movement, muscle movement, exterior movement. And so sometimes when there hasn't been enough movement in the body due to dehydration, you'll see more puffiness around the cheeks, more puffiness around the eyes. And so hydration can really help with that. I have noticed that adding minerals to my water, I think, helps my hydration. There's no way to really know, but it definitely, when I work out, on days when I work out, I use an electrolyte tablet, and I notice less lightheadedness, less dizziness. I have low blood pressure, so that's an issue for me. So I recommend those. There are also, I know, mineral salts that you can get and things like that to help improve your retention of the hydration. The next gem is a gem around your mind and your state of mind. So recently I was at the beach and I was walking around the beach, and, my dog has recently passed away, and that was a consuming experience. So I felt a little ragged. I didn't feel my most beautiful self. And I noticed a lot of comparison going on in my mind. And then I remembered the very essential truth, which is that sexy is a state of mind. And this has proven so true in my life. When I want to feel beautiful, there's a lot of ways that I could describe the state of being beautiful, but one is being alluring and sexy and sensual and embodied. And when I remembered that trick, that tool, that sexy is a state of mind, it instantly changed the way I walk, the way I looked at people in the eye, the way that my shoulders sat on my body. And so I'd love to do a exercise and share a tool with you for cultivating this truth in your own body. And so wherever you are, if you're standing or sitting, I invite you to close your eyes for a moment. If you can, if you're driving, please don't. And imagine that you are a legendary seductress. And that might look like a 1930s Hollywood actress. It might look like a mystical Mists of Avalon witch. It might look like a croissant nibbling Parisian, or a woman who has dwelled only in the wild and only knows the natural world. The seductress that you are is unique to you. And so imagining that seductress, and wherever you're sitting or standing, I invite you to sit or stand the way that your seductress guides you to sit or stand, and allowing your body to find its way. And so even if all you noticed was the tiniest little glimmer of knowing what to do, what that tells you is that sexiness, seductiveness, allure is not something outside of you. It is actually a knowing that lives inside your body. And so a way to bring this into your life is the next time you find yourself strolling down the aisle of a grocery store, or strolling down a beach or a path on your morning walk, or simply strolling down the hallway of your office to get a refill on your water, is to invite your seductress to walk through your body and to guide your feet and your hips and your shoulders, and notice how this inherent knowing uncoils within you. The next gem is around sun. So most estheticians and skincare professionals will probably advise you to avoid the sun at all costs. For me, I am pretty religious about my sun protection, but few things give me more of a glow from the inside out than a relaxing day spent in the sunshine. I recently gifted myself the joy of a hammock that I have on my deck. And in between coaching clients, embodiment coaching can be deep, intimate work. And sometimes I'll do yoga stretching, sometimes I'll shake, but sometimes I just want to relax, and it doesn't feel right to just go lay on the couch or go lay on the bed. And when I go out into my hammock and I lay there in the sun, it's like any tension or anything residual from the session just melts off of my body. And so giving yourself a few minutes or a whole day in the sun, being mindful about burns and sun damage, of course, but putting yourself in direct line of the ultimate illuminator, the UVA, UVB rays, is something I highly recommend for a boost to your beauty and to your mood. And the final gem that I want to share with you is what to invest in. So it can be so intimidating and overwhelming to go to a wall of products in a drugstore or a department store or Sephora and be like, where on earth do I begin? And often, unless you're at a spa or a doctor's office, the staff, not all of the staff, but some of the staff might not be fully trained in the skin or in the product line itself. So they might be making arbitrary, their best guess recommendations, which God bless them. Thank you so much. But it results in you possibly having to make some trial and error. And so the products that I recommend investing in, first of all, I recommend doing a little bit of inquiry around what are your values when it comes to the products that you use. Are you someone who doesn't give a crap about what's in the product as long as it works? Or are you someone who is highly sensitive to the presence of potentially harmful ingredients that could penetrate into your bloodstream? And so knowing what you value around the product, knowing what you value around your budget. For me, I budget, I would say, a moderate amount for my skincare products. I do a lot of my skincare treatments myself at home, so I don't spend a lot of money on facials and things like that at a spa. I budget that more for massage and body work. But knowing your budget can be really helpful to narrow your choices. And I think that the expensive things, like the question is like, is there really that much of a difference between the expensive products and the things I might pick up at a drugstore? And what I would say is yes. I have used professional skincare products since I was 18 years old. And whenever I try to deviate from that and penny pinch, I do notice a drastic difference in the appearance of my skin. However, a clarification here is that there are certain products that are more worth it than others. So, for example, anything that sits on your skin and is designed to penetrate your skin, such as your moisturizer, your foundation, your tinted moisturizer, your serums, your retinols, your facial oils, these are worth investing in. When you are evaluating these products, some ingredients you want to watch out for and avoid are mineral oil. And every skin is different. You know, I have a client who has followed her grandmother's wisdom around using only Vaseline on her skin her whole life, and that works for her, and great. But that might not work for you because every skin is different. So mineral oil tends to be very clogging and kind of sit on the skin and inhibits the skin ability to breathe. Artificial fragrance can be very irritating to the skin, so you want to look for products that say fragrance-free instead of unscented. Unscented usually just means that they have a fragrance added in order to mask the fragrance. Any harsh scrubs like the St. Ives apricot scrub, better saved for the legs. It's just a little harsh on the skin to have those jagged edges of apricot shell powder grinding into the delicate skin of your cheeks. You might get better results from something like an almond meal. Any kind of meal softens when it's wet. In fact, there's a product coming to mind that I didn't put in the beauty guide, and that is the Beauty Witch, thebeautywitch.com. Her apothecary features a cleansing scrub, and the Beauty Witch is a future guest on the podcast here, my good friend Elise Marie, and she just published a book called Secrets of the Beauty Witch. And in fact, visiting her website is like being put under a spell. I'm going to read to you a paragraph from the description of this facial exfoliant and mask. So this is some of the ingredients. Rose, beloved bringer of beauty and love, sacred to both Freya and Aphrodite, exquisite rose provides potent age delay skincare powers and an opening of psychic awareness. Her magic includes strength that belies her delicate appearance. I mean, come on. Reading Elise's writing makes me feel like I'm sitting down with a combination of Eve and Stevie Nicks. So I highly recommend her book. I'll put a link to that in the show notes and a link to this product. And I'm giving myself a little love tap for not including this in the beauty guide. I highly, highly recommend this product and all of her products, including and especially Le Voyage, which includes the exfoliant, the facial oil, and the facial spray. So, little plug for my friend there, little genuine. This is something that you definitely want to check out. Highly, highly recommend plug. And so back to where we were. Let me take a moment here. Yes, we were talking about ingredients to look for and ingredients to avoid. So harsh scrubs may want to take a pass. And products that you can maybe do a little less, budget a little less for are things that are on the skin for a temporary amount of time, such as your cleanser. Toner is a pretty simple one to outsource to things like rose water or jasmine water, any hydrosol, which is essentially the water that is extracted when an essential oil is extracted from a plant. It's a very rich kind of herbal water. Neroli hydrosol, lavender hydrosol. These can be great things to layer underneath your moisturizer, which help your moisturizer to penetrate more evenly into your skin and provide like a drink of water for your skin. And then lastly, your last gem is you need not stop at the face. Sometimes the emphasis on beauty being only on the face feels laced with an intention to conform to a patriarchal idea of beauty where you avoid wrinkles to stay young and fragile looking, to stay in that maiden phase. And to me, real beauty ritual is about entering the temple of the divine feminine and lavishing the body and ravishing the entire body head to toe with this deep medicine. And so you can extend your beauty ritual to your teeth with the products that you use on your gums and your teeth, to your body, to your nails, to your hair and scalp, to your deodorant. In fact, in the beauty guide, I have a deodorant that I swear to God is just miraculous. If you're like me, you have used many deodorants that are natural and don't contain aluminium, as they might say in the UK or in Australia. And they just hit the trash can after one or two uses because they don't actually reduce odor. They just kind of mask it with a different smell. And there is a product in there, a deodorant cream that I just cannot say enough about. And so once again, you can download that beauty guide at schoolofsensualliving.com/beauty. Thank you so much for listening today. It is always an honor and a delight to dance through your eardrums. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear from you in a review, and I will see you in the next episode. Ciao. For coaching, classes, and community in creating a lifestyle of embodiment, head to schoolofsensualliving.com. There you'll find a free video series on how to reduce anxiety and intercept the stress response through powerful, confident body language. Head to schoolofsensualliving.com/confidence to watch your first video today.